Hello everybody, welcome in to Trackalicious. We have round number 7 tonight of the GT4 Rookies season. Coming to a close already, the first season of the new year here in 2026 for the Rookies. Just 2 rounds remaining. Tonight we have round number 7 at COTA, with qualifying getting underway any moment now. We'll head down to one of the newest tracks built out there in the US, built in 2012. So just coming up on 14 years old. Very tight race at the top of the championship as well, and with just 2 rounds to go, it is very important to get those positions in here. Hope you are all doing well. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's going to be super fun to see how these GT4 rookies take on COTA. Lots of track limits to worry about, especially in Sector 1 going through the S's. A lot more strict in certain areas than in others. In Sector 1 absolutely being one of those that can kill in terms of track limits and picking up those costly drive-through penalties, which we saw a lot of in the Wednesday race last week. And with the 2 20-minute races, hopefully the short time span not enough to pick up those violations, but only time will tell.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Alrighty, let's head to the track down in Austin, Texas. See just how our rookies get on with our first qualifying session of the night. Fast track still. Temperatures are looking pretty decent. Slightly cloudy, but a nice day for some racing. Pair of podiums from last week for Teemu Pessinen in the 111 Janetta. He looks to continue that form, putting in a monster amount of practice laps, as did fellow Janetta driver Giancarlo Bottini. Those two going toe-to-toe in terms of fastest lap time in the practice server. What will we see here in the first qualifying session? Will we see these two Janettas who lead the field onto the track for the formation lap? Will we see them out on the front row battling for the race? Can somebody else sneak up onto that front row? We missed Duarte Manita last week, but he's back and looking to get back onto the podium. He's got a race win to his name, so he certainly knows how to get the pace out of the car and have the consistency to win as well. This is your championship leader, John Kilcoyne, in the 44 Firebrand Aston Martin. Just going through the first sector, getting everything nice and warmed up. I guess it's the second sector now. It ends kind of in the middle of the 2 S's. He shoots down the hill into the tight hairpin at turn 11. And a lengthy straightaway separates him from the braking zone at turn 12. Can't really see it on here, but there's a lot of undulation down that straightaway. We were going down a hill, then up, and then back down again into the braking zone. As we head to the infield section, good opportunity to go side by side through here as the apex switches from the outside to the inside. in the false apex at turn 15 before 16. Certainly allowing lots of room down the inside line for a late move. Through here, though, going to be tricky to go side by side, carrying a lot of speed down the triple right-hand corner. And not a heavy, a heavy braking zone is separating those trio of right-handers from the next bit of track. And onto the start-finish line we go, and onto the first flying laps for Chris Saunderson. Duarte Manhita up ahead in the foreground there. And then Chris Saunderson in the Audi going through turn 1 with John Kilcoyne trying to pick up the slipstream behind and use it to his advantage. Big drift on the corner exit before shooting back down the hill and into the roller coaster of the S's. Quick corner to the right. Or excuse me, to the left, and then back to the right. And then a double right-hand corner. Chris Saunderson goes a little bit deep. The tires probably not just warmed up enough on the Audi to maintain that speed through the corner. Takes a couple of laps for these GT4s to get their tires warmed up and ready to go, with them not having any tire blankets or tire warmers to get that rubber nice and ready for action. It's a challenge for sure, as Manhita steps out of the way as well. John Kilcoyne going through. Let's see how our lead Ginettas are getting along here. Pessinen across the line. He sets the early pace at 2:18.1 is the time to beat. What will Giancarlo Bottini be able to do? He crosses the line with a 2:18.5, but it was invalid, so he will have to go around once more. The Ginetta squad in full force today. They've got 6 of them out on track, 3 of them already setting the pace up ahead. Reese Simmons in the AMG separates Liam Blanchard from Teemu Pessinen at the front with Josh Ransom getting a valid lap time, putting him in 4th place. Back with John Kilcoyne. Just one corner left for the Firebrand Aston Martin to see exactly where he will slot in, but still early in the qualifying session. Again, taking a few laps to get these tires warmed up, and it is quite a long lap around COTA. And John Kilcoyne with a 2:19.3, but it was invalid earlier on. So one more round to go for him. Chris Saunderson gets on the board with a valid lap in 6th. Still waiting for a majority of the field to find their way through. John Baptist gets ahead of Douglas behind Rally Dutchy. I was about to say Ruchy and combine the two, but that's not how it is. So Rally Dutchy ahead of John Baptist, ahead of Chris Douglas. Second time through for the Ginettas at the front, who got out on their qualifying session nice and earlier, basically right as the green flags began to wave. The 111 out in front, setting the early pace and looking to get an improvement on the board as well. Can Giancarlo Bottini keep it within the white lines and find a lap for the number 57? And he gets on the board and gets on the front row, 7/10 behind Teemu Pessinen, who improves the benchmark at the front and gets a 2:17.84. Saw some good qualifying results from Vladimir Beluga last week at Imola. Where will the number 5 Beluga Racing Team AMG find himself this week? Oh, and deep at the final corner, invalidating this qualifying lap attempt. Still 7 minutes on the clock remain. Got time for about 3 laps, maybe 4. If he's got the fuel in the car, that is. The Beluga going around once more. And in this train of John Kilcoyne, Duarte Manita, and Chris Saunderson coming across the line, Saunderson gets inside the top 5 and still waiting for times from Manhita. And John Kilcoyne got ahead of Saunderson there. So he sits in 4th place in the number 44 Aston Martin. Dr. Porkchop sitting in 3rd in the championship as he looks to get a valid lap on the board. And he gets inside the top 10 ahead of John Baptist, behind Josh Ransom. So as it stands, you've got Pessinen leading the way, then Bottini in 2nd, Reese Simmons 3rd, John Kilcoyne 4th, Chris Saunderson in 5th. Liam Blanchard here going through the final sector. He's currently in 6th, about a 10th and a half behind Saunderson in the top 5. Rally Dutchy in 7th, Josh Ransom in 8th, Dr. Porkchop 9th, John Baptist rounds out the top 10. Then you have Chris Douglas and Hezzy Thomas completing valid laps, still waiting for a time from Duarte Manhita, Vladimir Beluga, who's in the pits, Don Fox, our 2-time race winner from last week, and Austin Charlier. And Blanchard goes inside the top 3 with a big improvement from the 84 Ginetta. He makes it a Ginetta 1, 2, 3. One of the many Firebrand representatives here, Austin Charlier, rejecting the Ginetta and going for the BMW. Where will this lap put Austin, as there are less than 5 minutes left on the clock? He gets ahead of Douglas and Thomas, up to 11th place. And Chris Douglas has an answer right back immediately and gets up to 11th. John Kilcoyne, though, doesn't have an answer for the pace of Liam Blanchard and Chris Saunderson. He drops back down to 6th, with Saunderson improving on his previous lap. Now through the final sector once again, with Dr. Porkchop we go. A little bit out of sync here is the 71. He's kind of riding alone on track with the number 7. Nice bit of clean air, doesn't have to worry about anybody in front and behind, and just like that, into the top 3 he goes. He's going to share the 2nd row with Liam Blanchard for the time being. Still lots of drivers on valid laps behind could have something to say about that. Back to the pits for Dr. Porkchop and 2 fellow Aston Martin driver John Kilcoyne we go. Long run down this back straight. He's got a kilometer to think about life and all that kind of jazz. And then the braking zone approaches. A little bit of a drift on the way out, but nothing too major there for John Kilcoyne, as he sits about a 10th behind Chris Saunderson in now 6th, with Dr. Porkchop getting that lap in on his previous run to jump the queue and move up into the top 3. He's got Reese Simmons up ahead. Very tight gap between Simmons and Saunderson, just 0.02 of a separating the AMG of Simmons and the Audi of Chris Saunderson. Pessinen returns to the pits, so he is happy with the lap. Bottini able to improve his lap time to get within 0.6 of the 111 Ginetta at the front. Where will John Kilcoyne go on this lap? On this lap, he moves Dr. Porkchop down to 4th, and that is very, very close between the 2 Aston Martins, who will share the 2nd row for the time being. Oh, and Rally Dutchy, right as we tune in, goes wide at the final corner and into the wall in frustration. And back to the pits goes the 6-2-1. We have seen some good race pace out of Rally Dutchy. Driver currently sitting in 6th in the championship overall is Rally Dutchy. There's some good consistent finishing there from the 6-2-1 to get that high up in the championship. Another one of the many Ginettas, Giancarlo Bottini. He sits in 4th in the championship. 19 points back of Dr. Porkchop for a top 3 spot in the overall standings. And here he is in the top 2. Only driver ahead of him is Teemu Pessinen, and he's in the pits. So can Giancarlo Bottini find the pace? A little bit wide at the final corner. Will that cost him the time that he needs? He's able to improve by about a 10th, but how much more could it have been if that final corner went according to plan? Hello, Eric. Hope you're doing well, my friend. You joined right at the end of the qualifying here. 30 seconds left on the clock. It is do or die time now for Duarte Manhita, still without a valid lap on the board from the 77 AMG. Keeping it just within the white lines on the exit of turn 16. 3 right-handers to go. He hits 2. And out of the 3rd he goes now, trying to keep it tight to the right-hand side for the next corner. Left-hander shooting down the hill, very tricky to get the power down. The track just wants to force you off there, but Duarte keeps it within track limits there, and now just 1 corner left, and he keeps it within the white lines to the checkered flag. Where will this put Duarte? All the way up to 2nd place! He splits the Ginettas at the front and finds himself on the front row. There's the 2 Ginettas of Josh Ransom here leading the way from Liam Blanchard behind. But I think Blanchard is pulling over here. Josh Ransom, one of the last drivers with a valid lap. Or on a valid lap, I should say. Going through turn 16 now. In front of all the fans there to the right-hand side, under the bridge. By the observation tower. Now just 2 corners left down the hill through turn 19. The final and 20th corner for Josh Ransom in the 325. He's got a top 10 spot. Can he improve it? Up ahead of Don Fox. Ahead of him is the next Ginetta, and no improvement there at the end for Josh Ransom. And Reese Simmons across the line improves the time and gets into 4th place on the 2nd row alongside Giancarlo Bottini. First qualifying of round 7 completed. Let's begin our grid walk for the first 20-minute race we have ahead of us. Leading the way from the front on pole position, we have Teemu Pessinen in the 111 Ginetta, looking to improve on the 3rd place and the duo of 2nd place finishes he has and finish on that top spot here tonight. Right at the end, Duarte Manhita able to get the lap when it mattered in the Red Bull Goodyear Racing Team number 77 AMG. He will line up in second place on the outside on the front row. Behind you have Giancarlo Bottini in the Firebrand, number 57, Ginetta, looking to get another podium to his name in the championship. Keeping him company is Reese Simmons in the Tamburello Racing, number 64, AMG. Rounding out the top 5 is John Kilcoyne in the Firebrand, number 44, Aston Martin. This is your championship leader here, and Dr. Porkchop makes it an all Aston Martin third row, with the Chop Shop Racing 71 lining up next to him. Liam Blanchard next in the Firebrand, a number 84 Ginetta. He will start from 7th. Chris Saunderson keeps him company on the 4th row in the Allison Racing, number 18 Audi. Next, you have our race winner from last week, Don Fox in the Firebrand, number 23, starting from 9th. And yes, you are correct there, Blanche. All of the Firebrand cars starting on the even side of the track. Or the odd side of the track, excuse me. Rounding out the top 10, you've got Josh Ransom in the 325 TVR Ginetta. Then rounding out the trio of Ginettas here is Rally Duchy in the Kuzata Racing Academy, number 621, starting just outside the top 10. Alongside will be John Baptist in the Trinity Racing, number 7 Porsche. Austin Charlier next in the Firebrand, number 53 BMW, starting from 13th. And alongside him on the 7th row is Christopher Douglas in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro on home territory. Next, it's an all-AMG back row with Hezzy Thomas in the Dog Box Racing, number 59, and Vladimir Beluga unable to get a valid lap. He will start from 16th in the Beluga Racing Team, number 5 AMG. And John Baptist returning to the pits here. I didn't think we had any penalties for race number 1. So maybe just a matter of not being able to hit start in time. As the front of the grid gets underway, the pink Ginetta of Pessinen leading the way, then the Red Bull sponsored AMG of Duarte Manita behind. And yes, indeed, Hezzy, good luck to everybody. Have some fun tonight. 16 drivers on the grid at COTA. Great venue for some GT racing. Very excited to go to the SRO race coming up in April. Should be a ton of fun to see the GT3s, GT4s, some TC cars as well. Go around the mighty purpose-built facility at COTA in 2012, built specifically to host Formula One in the US. And it has hosted many of events since NASCAR comes to do the short version of the track. MotoGP coming in March. WEC hosts their 6 hours. 6-hour race, I should say, known as the Lone Star of Le Mans. But tonight is the home to the all-important penultimate round of our GT4 Rookies Championship. 2 20-minute races tonight, where drivers will be awarded points based on where they finish, and you want to finish as high up as possible, of course, to get the maximum amount of points possible. As mentioned, John Kilcoyne is your championship leader. He leads from JP Barreto, unable to participate in this race tonight, but he leads him by just 6 points. Still very tight in the championship, and then Dr. Porkchop not too far back either. He's just 16 points behind fellow Aston Martin driver John Kilcoyne. Those two line up next to each other on the third row in 5th and 6th. Where will race winner Don Fox end up from 9th on the grid? Lots still to play for. Pessinen leads the grid. And now they line up side by side in zipper formation, getting the 15 cars from the grid set, with John Baptist starting from the pit lane. They round the final corner, and we head to the start-finish line for the green lights to go out. Start line very late down the straight before the run up into turn 1. But nonetheless, 20 minutes of action ahead of us.
Green light, go, go, go.
The green flag waves, time begins to tick. John Kilcoyne looking to get a racy start here as he tries to defend the outside, and it's a great move from Liam Blanchard down the inside of Dr. Porkchop and John Kilcoyne trying to take 2 cars in one go. They were 3 wide going down the hill, and they're continuing to go 3 wide. And Liam Blanchard tries to split the cars. Dr. Porkchop, great car control to keep everything pointed in the correct direction. Chris Saunderson taking slight evasive action to avoid Dr. Porkchop coming back onto the track there. But it is looking nice and tidy here. Duarte Manhita trying to hang on to Teemu Pessinen, but it's Giancarlo Bottini threatening from behind. Hello, Claire. Welcome in. Hope you're enjoying the racing so far. Just getting underway. Lap 1 of our first 20-minute race. Teemu Pessinen leads from Manhita, from Bottini, from Reese Simmons, and then it's Liam Blanchard able to make up a few places from the start. He gets ahead of John Kilcoyne and Dr. Porkchop, who's going side by side with Chris Saunderson down the back straight. Will it be the V10 of the Audi or the V8 of the Aston who has the power? The Audi able to pull away, and Rally Dutchy, a late move down the inside, able to hold it on the brakes as Dr. Porkchop opening the door there. And good for him for not closing it shut, but Rally Dutchy opens the door right back and allows Dr. Porkchop to go through and take back 9th. Oh, and Bottini got ahead of Duarte Manhita through the final sector. It is now a Ginetta 1-2 with Bottini trying to chase down Pessinen at the front of the field. Oh, Manhita runs deep, and it's going to be a run down into turn 1 between the 2 AMGs. Reese Simmons got a cleaner exit out of the final corner, and can the 64 take advantage into turn 1? Thought about it, might have been a tap to the back of Manhita's car, but both of them able to keep it going forward. As John Kilcoyne trying to get through Liam Blanchard, but the Ginettas are looking mighty through the corners, through the S's here, as Reese Simmons try to stay close to Duarte Manhita in front, but not allow Liam Blanchard to get close, as Liam is doing now. And John Kilcoyne for company as well. 3 cars very close to each other, nearly bumper to bumper between the 3 different manufacturers. As we head down the hill into the braking zone of turn 11, Bottini thought about having a look down at Pessinen for the race lead, and Don Fox is getting involved as well. Starting from 9th, he's gone up to 7th, and it might be 6th, but the straight line speed of the Ginetta might not be so strong here compared to the Aston Martin of John Kilcoyne. And up ahead, there was almost a thought of a move from Giancarlo Bottini for the race lead, but he thought the better of it. And John Kilcoyne has the inside and maintains 6th place from Don Fox, challenging behind. Battle at the front continuing between Pessinen and Bottini. Menhita not giving them too much breathing room behind either. Reese Simmons sticking close to the bumper of the AMG driver up ahead, and Liam Blanchard battling it out with Firebrand teammates slash enemies John Kilcoyne and Don Fox. Chris Saunderson in 8th, Dr. Porkchop in 9th, Rally Dutchy rounds out the top 10. Chris Douglas in 11th, Beluga 12th, Hezzy Thomas in 13th. Charlie 14th, Josh Ransom 15th, and John Baptist in 16th after starting from the pit lane. Beginning lap number 3, can Giancarlo Bottini shake a move into turn number 1? Not quite close enough to do so yet. It's going to be pretty difficult to line up a move into the yeses without being side by side already. Going down the hill, Menhita runs wide. He's going to be thrown a little bit offline to allow Reese Simmons to potentially close in. John Kilcoyne looking for a spot in the top 5, needs to get past fellow Firebrand driver Liam Blanchard, who made a great move down the inside and battling 3 wide for a few corners after that. Don Fox laid on the brakes, able to catch right back up to the Firebrand duo up ahead of him. But Liam Blanchard made that move stick into turn 1 and now has to battle it out with John Kilcoyne in the Aston Martin. Gets out of the slipstream, has a look into turn 12, but thinks the better of it. Gets back onto the racing line, and Don Fox nearly goes into the back of the Aston Martin there, who nearly goes into the back of Liam Blanchard in the Ginetta up ahead. Nearly a disastrous moment for the Firebrand team, but great evasive action from the drivers as they continue to circulate around. Going into turn 16, Saunderson goes deep on the brakes, trying to stay close to the battling cars ahead. And heading into the final corner, Blanchard remains ahead of John Kilcoyne, who remains ahead of Don Fox, but he's looking pretty racy here coming out of this final corner. Will we see a move here riding on board with Don Fox? He's lining it up down the inside, sends it into the apex and gets ahead and gets a tap from John Kilcoyne right on the rear bumper. And good late move from Don Fox. Very late on the brakes into turn 1. Gets ahead, parks it on the apex, doesn't allow John Kilcoyne to sneak on through. As Liam Blanchard now challenging Reese Simmons for that 4th place position. Oh, and Mayunex, thanks for the hydrate and the fun fact redeem. Cheers to that first of all. Hope you're doing well, Sarah. But a fun fact, the gradient at turn 1 is right around 11%. It's pretty similar figures to Eau Rouge at Spa, which has an 18% gradient. But the thing about that turn 1 gradient is it all comes at the end. It's relatively flat up until the braking zone, and then that braking zone just shoots the driver up the hill And it's an absolute roller coaster ride around the corner. You can't see the apex as you're braking, so you just have to hope your braking zone is right and dead on the money before turning in. And it's almost like a U-shaped kind of roller coaster ramp ride. It's almost like taking a ride in a half pipe where you go up and then shoot right back down into turn 2. And you can go so late and so deep on the brakes there too. Thank you for the follow, Mucho Demente. Hope you're doing well and enjoying the action here so far. Just about halfway into our first doubleheader of round number 7 here at COTA. And yes, very, very tight gaps all the way through. Giancarlo Bottini not giving any breathing room to Teemu Pessinen at the front of the field. The two Ginettas continue to battle it out. Duarte Manhita holds on to a podium position. He's about 2 seconds back. Oh, and Reese Simmons falls back down the order. There was a slight contact, I do believe. Let's take a look and see what happens going out of the final corner. So coming out of the final corner, getting a good exit, the Ginettas, we've seen it on that last lap, good on the brakes. Is there a late send from Liam Blanchard or Don Fox? Oh, there isn't, and it's on corner exit with where Reese Simmons was going a little bit slowly, trying to find the grip, and Blanchard already full on the gas, unable to get the car slowed down and going into the side of Reese Simmons, and Don Fox able to go through, so he is now the lead Firebrand trio outside of the podium positions. Because of course you have Giancarlo Bottini representing the Firebrand Ginettas inside of those podium places. He is the lead Firebrand car trying to challenge Teemu Pessinen. He's getting very close into the braking zone of turn 12. But unable to shape up a move here. Don Fox defending down the inside. Liam Blanchard on the racing line, able to carry a lot more speed through turn 12. Nearly contact between John Kilcoyne and Liam Blanchard this time. And side by side, Blanchard goes through, Fox forced wide, has to go off track, and no room by for John Kilcoyne. He had the speed to try to go through the both of them, but there is just a Ginetta roadblock right up ahead of him. Nowhere for him to go through. Chris Saunderson now closing in the Audi. He's trying to spoil this Firebrand party up inside the top 5 and going up into turn 1. Don Fox defends down the inside. Liam Blanchard gonna have to fight it the long way around if he wants to go, but just not a lot of grip on offer there. Chris Saunderson also trying to get the over-under, but John Kilcoyne defending very well in the number 44 Aston Martin. And there is one of those drive-through penalties for track limits we were talking about earlier on. Vladimir Beluga falling victim to picking up his 4th track limit violation and gets that drive-through for the number 5 AMG. Don Fox remains ahead in the 23 Ginetta from Liam Blanchard, from John Kilcoyne in the Aston Martin, oh my goodness, and then Chris Saunderson joins the party in 7th place. This is your battle just outside the podiums, and now the gap increasing just a little bit from Bottini to Pessinen, and Manhita shrinks the gap to within a second to the number 57 Ginetta, just forcing Giancarlo to maybe think about the cars behind just that little bit more than he was before. Back to the battling. The two Ginettas, the two Firebrands Ginettas, I should say, even going side by side. Don Fox goes deep on the exit of 16. This is going to open up an opportunity for Liam Blanchard to fight through, but in fact, he opened up the opportunity for John Kilcoyne to sneak on through the inside. He's trying his best to hold the grip and hold the line, and now a long way around through turn 19, a little bit off track for Kilcoyne, gets back on and into the final braking zone. Liam Blanchard sends it deep, and he holds on to fifth, excuse me. Down the main straight we go. Don Fox says, thank you very much for battling behind. I'm just going to try to run away as best as possible and secure my 4th place position. Oversteer from John Kilcoyne heading down into turn 2. Chris Saunderson just licking his lips at any opportunity that might be given to him up ahead. And while these cars continue to battle, Dr. Porkchop closing the gap. He's getting within 2 seconds here, about 5 minutes remaining. And Blanchard running wide at the top of the hill, hopefully not picking up a track limit violation, as we have seen one driver fall victim to that drive-through penalty. Heading down the main straight, or excuse me, the back straight goes that quad of cars. This is Austin Charlier fighting with Hezzy Thomas for 13th place, drifting it through, trying to find any way by the AMG up ahead. But no room given from Hezzy Thomas, and there's Chris Douglas up ahead too, not too far ahead. Looking to increase the gap in that 718 Camaro. Down the inside, Austin Charlier, late move from the 53, holds on to the apex, a little bit of a bump. And they're going to continue to battle side by side. Down the main straight they go, and Charlie is going to have to just tuck in behind here. Side-by-side action just up ahead at the end of the straight, or excuse me, into the stadium section here. This is Reese Simmons getting 9th from Rally Dutchy. And here we go, side by side once again into the final corner. The Ginetta holds the inside, but John Kilcoyne trying to squeeze the 84 as best as possible to not let him have that exit. But once again, Liam Blanchard able to defend that top 5 position. Chris Saunderson gets close once again into turn 1. He just can't break John Kilcoyne behind, showing why he's the championship leader. Just never gives up on the attack, tries to throw it at any opportunity, and one might be given right here, nearly the door opening into the final section of the S's. And I agree, this is fun indeed. And here we go, gets a great exit down the hill into the braking zone of turn 11 before the start-finish straight, and he's got the inside line. The 84 can't cut back, and a lot of respect given by John Kilcoyne. Might it be too much respect? Because now Chris Saunderson has a run out of turn 11. He is going side by side with John Kilcoyne, and he's already ahead before the braking zone. So that's now 6th for Chris Saunderson. John Kilcoyne drops to 7th, and he's got Dr. Porkchop pretty close behind as well. And John Kilcoyne tries to get the place back with Saunderson running deep into turn 16. They're going to keep fighting it out here. Nearly bumper to bumper through the trio of right-handers. Saunderson washing a little bit wide through the second part of the corner.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now.
And now you heard it, or oh my goodness, you heard it there first, folks. We're on the final racing lap. Teemu Pessinen leading the way as he has all race long from pole position. Has about a 1.5 second gap to Giancarlo Bottini in second place. Then it's Duarte in third. Don Fox able to run away from this gaggle of cars. The tightest battle here now between John Kilcoyne and Chris Saunderson. Going into turn number 1, Saunderson defends the inside very well, not allowing John Kilcoyne any sort of switchback opportunity. And as they battle through the S's, a dab on the brakes into the final part before slamming it pretty heavy for this corner here. And then shooting back up a little hill. This is the highest point of the track right here. And then back down the hill for another roller coaster. Actually, I don't remember if that's the high point or whether turn 1 is the actual high point. It might be turn 1. But nonetheless, both very tall parts of the track there. Adding to the roller coaster ride among the lefts and the rights, the up and down effect here at COTA, very prominent as well. And into turn 12 we go for the final time. Will we see any late moves thrown? Chris Saunderson thought about it, but just wasn't close enough. Okay, so turn 1 is the highest point. That kind of makes sense. The highest point of Sector 2. We'll call it that. And once again, no room given for Chris Saunderson to fight through. And into the final corner to the two Ginettas. Nearly gonna finish bumper to bumper. Can Bottini get a better exit? My goodness, it's going to finish so close between the two at the front, but Teemu Pessinen able to hold off the pressure thrown his way by Giancarlo Bottini and gets his first race win of the season here tonight. Giancarlo Bottini on the podium once again. Duarte Manhita joining them in third. Don Fox holds on to fourth. Liam Blanchard finishes in the top 5. And Chris Saunderson and John Kilcoyne separated by just 0.4 of a second at the line there. Kilcoyne finishes in 7th. Dr. Porkchop in 8th. Reese Simmons recovers well up to 9th. Rally Dutchy inside the top 10 in the 621 Ginetta. Then Josh Ransom takes the checkered flag in 11th. Chris Douglas able to hold off the pressure from Hezzy Thomas and Austin Charlier, as he has built the gap up quite a decent amount here. But a good bit of damage sustained to the front of that car. Checkered flag waved in front of the number 718. Then you've got Hezzy Thomas finishing in 13th. Austin Charlier in 14th place. Vladimir Beluga after serving the drive-thru in 15th position. And a few corners left for John Baptist and for the first race of the night here at COTA. Apologies also to the chat. Just can't keep up with everything you guys are saying with all that and all the action out on track. Thank you for being here. Couldn't do it without you guys being here. And if you guys thought that was fun, we're going to run it back one more time, as we have another 15-minute qualifying session coming right up. There we have our finishers on the left-hand side. And now the qualifying begins for race number 2. I am running out of beverages. So much action happening out on the track tonight from our 16 rookies looking to finish the season. Just 2 rounds remaining now. Just 1 race left in round number 7. here at COTA. And Teemu Pessinen once again out early in the qualifying session, looking to get those laps in and on the board. Setting the pace and let the rest of the drivers chase him. All right, take a scroll through the chat here. Let's see what we missed. Yeah, John Kilcoyne certainly in a tough spot in that last race, especially around those Ginettas that can just absolutely send it on the brakes. The Aston didn't really seem to have too much of a straight line speed advantage either in race number 1, so maybe something to look for in race number 2. Oh, nice, Eric. Yeah, give Claire the laptop. Let her have some fun with it. Oh, I see. You like the blue car. Let's tune in with the blue car of Dr. Porkchop, I do believe. Chop Shop Racing going into turn number 1 and down the hill. The actual highest point of the track, turn 1. And drifting it for the show here in the 71. Just trying to get as much heat into those tires as possible. Nice and early on. Like we mentioned, no tire warmers for these GT4s, so they just have to rely on getting the temperature through, driving quickly out on track. As once again, Dr. Porkchop just finding himself in some good bit of clean air up ahead and behind, has the track all to himself. Yeah, and with the acceleration too, they're just able to carry, it seems like, so much more speed through the corner that's just a killer combination around something like COTA. Unfortunately, I can report John Kilcoyne is serving a qualifying ban in race number 2, but he will be able to take the grid and work his way up through the back. We'll see just how well he can do it here in race number 2, excuse me. Hopefully not too many Ginettas up ahead of him, as Beluga and Reese Simmons also hanging out in the pits for now. And Pessinen with just a few corners left to set the benchmark. He will be the first driver across the start-finish line to set a valid lap. If this one is in fact valid, we'll just have to wait and see what happens when he crosses the line, nearly drifting wide out of the final corner, and it's a 217.7 right off the bat from Teemu Pessinen. Botini joins him in the Ginettas with a valid lap, about 8/10 behind. Same with Josh Ransom, about 2 seconds behind the lead Ginetta here. Podium sitter from race 1, Duarte Manita. Will he pull off the same strategy as he did in the first qualifying session, just waiting until the final moment to get the lap down, or will we see a time early on from the 77? Saunderson crossing the line next. He goes up to third, about a second and a half behind Teemu Pessinen, 7/10 behind Giancarlo Bottini. John Baptist sliding out of the final corner as we saw Pessinen do, but unable to get a valid lap on the board. And now Blanchard coming through to set a valid lap. He's behind Josh Ransom by about 9/10 of a second. Duarte Manita does get a lap on, or early on, and gets himself into the top 5, but that is short-lived with Dr. Porkchop setting a valid lap good enough for third place. Oh, Don Fox drifts wide out of turn number 18. So he will have to wait, or I guess we all will have to wait and see what the valid lap will bring from Don Fox once he goes around the 3.5 mile lap at COTA. Here is that pink car. It's Teemu Pessinen out for another go around. Unable to improve on his benchmark from his first lap. It's still halfway left in the qualifying for the drivers to improve, or in fact even set a valid lap. Only 7 drivers on the board so far. Make that 8 with Hezzy Thomas getting across with a valid lap. Bottini improves his time to get within half a second of Teemu Pessinen. And Chris Saunderson across the line now, getting ahead of Dr. Porkchop. So that's Saunderson finding himself in a top 3 position. Baptist just 1 corner left, keeping it within the white lines. A lot less drama out of the final corner than we saw on his last lap, and gets ahead of Hezzy Thomas by just 0.04 of a second. As Baptist goes around for another lap, Chris Douglas looking to get his first valid lap on the board still. Just 1 corner remaining for Christopher Douglas. See if he can get on the board. A little bit of a moment exiting the final corner, but nonetheless is on the board. About 0.2 behind Hezzy Thomas. Pessinen improves the benchmark at the front by about 0.2 of a second. Moves up, or improves his time, to a 2:17.467. Austin Charlier, given just enough room to stay within track limits there, gets ahead of John Baptist behind Liam Blanchard in 8th place. And Rally Dutchy finishing inside the top 10 in race number 1. Looking to qualify inside the top 10 here in the second qualifying session. Started from 11th in the first race. Where will this lap put Rally Dutchy? Still looking to get a valid lap on the board. And it's looking like this will be the one. Gets inside the top 10 ahead of John Baptist. So Blanchard looking for an improvement. And he gets one, gets ahead of Manhita to move up to 6th behind Josh Ransom. So the order as it stands, you've got Teemu Pessinen leading the way from Giancarlo Bottini, as we saw in the first qualifying session. Then you got Saunderson ahead of Dr. Porkchop. Then Josh Ransom rounds out the top 5. Liam Blanchard here in 6th, just getting the lap on his last go-around. Behind him, you have Duarte Manhita and Austin Charlier going deep into turn 12, pulling off to the side of the road. But unfortunately invalidating his effort there. Then Rally Dutchy in 9th, John Baptist in 10th, Hezzy Thomas in 11th, Christopher Douglas in 12th, and still waiting for valid laps from Beluga, Fox, and Simmons. And Reese Simmons gets on the board and into the top 5. Less than 3 minutes left on the clock now. Very important to get those laps in now. Just 2 corners left for Chris Saunderson. Thank you for the follow. Hope you're enjoying the action here. Racing to begin in 2.5 minutes time after we get the grid set here. With 2.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. It's a big improvement from Chris Saunderson, but he needed 200ths more to get ahead of Bottini. And these late afternoon conditions proving very helpful to the Audi of Chris Saunderson, able to get a good lap time ahead, puts a second between him and Dr. Porkchop. So with Giancarlo Bottini, excuse me, and Chris Saunderson in the pits, they will have to hope that none of the drivers behind are able to improve and take those places away from them. Chris Douglas needs just a few hundredths of a second to get ahead of Hezzy Thomas for 12th place. As Pessinen looking to improve the benchmark. Even though he's got it by 7/10, it's not enough. The 111 Ginetta wants more. And up to the line, he gets more. Gains another 3/10 on his personal best, and he gets a 2:17.122. Oh, and Chris Douglas forced wide by Don Fox, who needs a valid lap here, and he gets one inside the top 10, gets an 8th place position. And Reese Simmons, also getting an improvement, but unable to jump position ahead of Dr. Porkchop. Checkered flag is out. Hezzy Thomas in the 59. And Austin Charlier in the 53, just crossing the line before that checkered flag came out. So this is the last lap for this group of cars here to try and get it when it matters. And Dr. Porkchop invalidating his effort, the 71 going back to the pits from 4th, the top 4 in fact, all in the pit lane. And Hita keeping it just within the white lines there, as he just has 1 corner left in the qualifying session, rounds it out and coming up to the line and moves up a handful up of positions up to 6th place. So now Don Fox, tricky through turn 16, but able to negotiate it well. As now he just has 2 left-handers after going around the observation tower. Where will this lap put Don Fox? He was looking pretty racy in race number 1. Got a handful of positions from where he started. Can he find the pace in this qualifying session? He does. Gets all the way up to 4th place. Reese Simmons across the line, unable to improve on the lap time. Austin Charlier also going slowly here, unable to find the improvement, and now it's just up to Hezzy Thomas, who has John Baptist ahead by about 1/10 of a second, less than 1/10 of a second. Can he find them at the end here? He does. He gets up to 12th ahead of John Baptist. And there are some tight times there. Bottini and Saunderson separated by a few hundredths of a second. I believe same with Chris Douglas and John Baptist as well. Slightly different order than we had to race 1. Let's remind ourselves of how we will start in race number 2 for tonight. It's the same pole sitter from race 1. It's Teemu Pessinen in the 111 Ginetta, getting things started once again from the front of the field. This time he's got Giancarlo Bottini next to him in the number 57 Firebrand Ginetta. He leads the Firebrand team from the front row, behind Chris Saunderson, starting from 3rd in the Allison Racing number 18 Audi, and Don Fox with a great qualifying effort at the end to get a 2nd row start in the Firebrand number 23 Ginetta. Next you have Dr. Porkchop starting inside the top 5 in the Chop Shop Racing number 71 Aston Martin. Then Reese Simmons in 6th in the Tan Barello Racing number 64 AMG. Next you have fellow AMG driver Duarte Manita in the 77 Red Bull Goodyear Racing Team front row starter from race number 1 and finished on the podium. What will we see out of this AMG in the race? Josh Ransom next in the TVR 325 Ginetta, starts from the back of the 4th row. Liam Blanchard throwing out the excuses, eating Raisin Canes, not locked in, starting from 9th in the Firebrand 84. But if it goes anything like race 1, a few overtakes are coming the way of Liam Blanchard into turn number 1. Austin Charlier rounds out the top 10 in the 53 Firebrand BMW. Rally Dutchy starting as, or in the same place as in race 1 in the Kuzata Racing Academy 621 Ginetta, just outside the top 10 in 11th. Then you've got Hezzy Thomas in 12th in the Dog Box Racing number 59 AMG, with John Baptist behind in the number 7 Trinity Racing Porsche. Sharing the 7th row with him is Christopher Douglas in the 718 V8 Racing Camaro. And then Vladimir Beluga in the Beluga Racing Team number 5 AMG, starting from 15th. And John Kilcoyne unable to set a lap due to a quali ban here in race number 2. He will take the grid from the back in 16th place. Teemu Pesinen gets going for the start of the formation lap for race number 2. 5 p.m. local time, sun beginning to set, but certainly not in the eyes of the driver. Track beginning to cool down just that slight bit. Will that begin to favor one of the manufacturers over another? And that is the huge uphill run-up we see from John Kilcoyne going into turn 1. Oh yeah, GT4 racing is some great racing, some great fighting going on in race number 1 we saw earlier here. Hoping to see more of the same here in race number 2. Slightly mixed up grid than we saw in race 1 as well. Podium sitter Duarte starting from 7th. Can he claw his way back up to those podium positions here in the 77? Or will the pace, or have the other drivers found the pace and are able to fight up ahead? Chris Saunderson starting from 3rd. Once again, the Firebrand team out in full force from Giancarlo Bottini at the front. The quality time for P1, I believe it was a 2:17.1 set by Teemu Pesinen at the front of the field. Oh yeah, red Porsches are the fastest ones. But John Baptist looking pretty racy in his Porsche. In the blue and green machine, starting from 13th. Very close times between the Porsche, the Camaro of Chris Douglas, and Hezzy Thomas in the AMG up ahead. Should be some good fighting all the way from the front to the back, as we saw in race number 1. This time Bottini, he starts right behind Pesinen. Can he take advantage of that going into turn 1? Race number 1, he had to overtake the AMG of Duarte Manhita first, but this time he's got a clear run at the 111 right up ahead of him. 3 Ginettas inside the top 5. Don Fox looked pretty racy and got the positions from Firebrand teammates behind. See, he starts ahead of him this time. So what will we see going into turn number 1? Will Liam Blanchard gain a few places as the grid rounds the final corner, gets set in side-by-side zipper formation. A long run up to the green light. And here we go for the final round of race, or round number 7, excuse me. 20 minutes of racing, and here we go. Green, green, green. Already contact early on between Don Fox and Chris Saunderson. Here we go. Bottini thinking of having the move around the outside. Same with Don Fox. Now it is a run down the hill. Through turn 2 we go. Saunderson hangs on to 3rd. Pesinen hangs on to the lead, and Bottini has to slot into 2nd place. Can't make up the positions early on here as the grid continues to shuffle on through. Reese Simmons down the inside of Duarte Manhita trying to hold on to the place, but it's Manhita who gets 5th away from Reese Simmons. Oh, and Saunderson with the wiggle on the exit. Duarte Menjita runs wide, but he will happily take that track limit if it means he's going to have a good look down the inside of turn 11, and he does, but hits Don Fox in the process, and further contact back down the grid. Oh my goodness, two cars going through each other there. I believe that was Dr. Porkchop and the Camaro of Chris Douglas. Liam Blanchard having to fight with John Baptist here. Menjita with a bit of damage to the front of his AMG. Overshooting the corner and going into the side of Don Fox. Oh, and contact! Austin Charlier hanging on to the BMW very well after a hit from Vladimir Beluga. Sees that car have a slight oversteer moment, and Hezzy Thomas side by side with John Kilcoyne through turn 16. Hezzy Thomas runs a little bit wide, and I believe that's going to be Liam Blanchard making up a position as well. So John Kilcoyne with a great start. He's already up inside the top 10. Rally Dutchy unfortunately returning to the pits there. Not sure if the 621 was involved in that incident, but we have a change for the lead. Giancarlo Bottini gets ahead of Teemu Pessinen, but he overshoots the first corner, and Teemu Pessinen says thank you very much. I'll take the lead back as Saunderson runs deep as well into turn 1, loses a handful of places here, slotting back into 6th, trying to hold on to it though with Charlier and Beluga fighting for the place. Reese Simmons having to return to the pits as well. And for a moment there, down the main straight, Giancarlo Bottini had the race lead, but got a little too excited in the braking zone of turn 1, goes deep, gets the, or opens up the opportunity back for Pessinen to take it through. Charlier sliding through the top of the hill as Menjita shuffling around with Josh Ransom for position just at the front of the camera shot there. Beluga around the outside of turn 11. The AMG gets ahead of the BMW, who slots in behind the slipstream, and John Kilcoyne trying to get involved in those battles as well. And a battle here for the lead resuming. Pessinen has to give room down the inside to Bottini, who had the straight line speed, but once again gets a little bit excited and running deep. They're going to battle it out side by side. Through turn 15 and 16 they go. And it is a Ginetta swarm at the front of the field, all the way from Bottini to Josh Ransom in 4th. So it's Bottini leading after the move at turn 12 from Pessinen in 2nd. Then you've got Don Fox in 3rd in the red and white Ginetta. Not too far behind this leading duo now. Josh Ransom in 4th, holding on to the position from Duarte Menjita, who's made up a few places from the start, carrying a bit of damage to his car as well, looking to get the straight line speed, as is Don Fox, lining up a move. We're gonna have 2 moves going into turn 1. Don Fox is first. He gets the inside line, and there's contact between him and Pessinen. Menjita, slightly more clean, goes through as well, but that move isn't done, with Josh Ransom trying to fight it around the outside and has to cut through the track there. Trying to get it slowed down. The 325 maintains position ahead of the 77, but might have picked up a track cut or 2 along the way there. Chris Douglas and John Baptist. Hezzy Thomas going wide as well. That's going to allow this 3-car battle to continue. down the hill, and this is for a spot in the top 10. And Austin Charlie, I think, having a bit of a moment. He is dropped behind the field, and Chris Saunderson back in the pits as well after starting from third. So Passinen now with a bit of room between him and Don Fox ahead. Manhita does get ahead of Josh Ransom going through turn 12, it looks like. So 4 Ginettas remain inside the top 5 here. Josh Ransom moving up a handful of places from where he started. Vladimir Beluga, how about that from the back of the field as well? Him and John Kilcoyne are making some great places up early on, up to 6th for Beluga and 7th for John Kilcoyne. And Dr. Porkchop battling with Liam Blanchard. 2 Firebrand cars up ahead. First one, though, the Ginetta of Liam Blanchard. Taking out the cones for good measure. Just ahead is Duarte Manhita, trying to stay close with Teemu Pessinen and get another podium finish here tonight. Gap increasing from Pessinen to Don Fox. And Giancarlo Bottini with nearly 3 seconds. Now 2. There might have been a mistake from the car ahead. Delta going up and down, side to side. Yeah, there's lots of Ginettas to like on the grid. 6 of them tonight here represented in the 15-car grid. And Duarte Manhita looking to spoil the all-Ginetta podium and his effort to try and get of the triple 1 Ginetta of Pessinen. Firebrand 1-2 leads the way, and Dr. Porkchop looking to get ahead of another duo of Firebrand cars with Liam Blanchard up ahead of him, and then John Kilcoyne a further 1.3 seconds up the road from the Ginetta. Halfway into the race, this is the closest battle we have on track for a podium spot between Teemu Pessinen and Duarte Manhita. Teemu Pessinen staying up late in Finland to compete in these races. Cheers to him for staying up so late into the morning. But I'm sure he's not focused on sleeping. He is focused on maintaining this podium position. Duarte Manhita shaping up a move behind, but not quite close enough to do so. And Josh Ransom very confident on the brakes looks to get closer and closer, and Teemu Pessinen unvert full attack now from Duarte Manhita. Shapes up the move and nearly gets the grip out of the corner to get side by side through 16, but can't quite do it on that move there. This is the view from 5th place Ginetta driver Josh Ransom. He's got a great view of the battle in front, but I'm sure he wants to be in the battle and not just look at it, as it's Manhita who has a look down the inside of the final corner and gets ahead of the Ginetta for that last podium spot. Already moving way to the inside to try and break the slipstream from the 111. Teemu Pessinen drops from pole to outside the podiums in 4th, but still close to the back of Duarte Manhita. As this is the look from now the lead car of this trio. Manhita in the 77. And Pessinen's sideways action through the S's. Looks to keep the grip and looks to get that podium position back. Could he have picked up some damage earlier on in that contact from Don Fox as well? Maybe just slowing down the performance of the Ginetta a little bit here. I mean, hey, yeah, there goes the top 3 lockout, but there's still 4 of them inside the top 5. And 5 inside the top 10. Dr. Porkchop getting a drive-through for track limits. Unfortunately there for the 71, pushing too hard after recently getting by Liam Blanchard for 8th. Has to serve a drive-through penalty. Oh, Pessinen taking a wild ride over the sausage curb, bouncing the Ginetta. But still, through the braking zone, through these tight corners, the Ginetta able to close up a significant amount to Duarte Manhita. Chris Saunderson, after his visit to the pit lane, out in 13th place behind this battle for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Chris Douglas, after the slip from John Baptist, looks to get the place. John Baptist goes deep into 16. And an easy position gained for the Camaro of Christopher Douglas. And it's gonna be side by side into turn number 1. Manhita has the inside. He's gonna try and make Pessinen go the long way around, and not a lot of room given on the exit as well from the 77 AMG, who hangs on to 3rd place still. So Porkchop in the pit lane. He has now cleared that penalty next to his name. Vladimir Beluga falling into the grasp of Liam Blanchard, losing a position to John Kilcoyne as well. So the number 5, excuse me, drops from 6th to 7th place. This might allow Liam Blanchard position, or an opportunity at an attack for 7th position in the closing 5 minutes of the race now. Don Fox, that gap remaining right around 2.5 seconds between him and race leader Giancarlo Bottini to make it a Firebrand Ginetta 1-2 with 4 minutes left on the clock. 2 laps to go once these drivers cross the line, which means 2 laps left for Pessinen to try and fight back onto that podium. And not close enough to shape up a move here into turn 1. Pretty comfortable gap for Duarte going into turn number 1. We've seen the Ginettas shape up some late moves going into turn 1 though. So with just 2 laps left, and the Firebrand Ginettas and the Ginetta of Teemu Pessinen fight their way through. Inside opening up for Blanchard. Beluga having to cut across the track. Blanchard, easy position gained up to 7th. Beluga, though, still close behind. This battle's going to continue on. Christopher Douglas gets ahead of Hezzy Thomas for 9th and what might be 8th, because Beluga pushing too hard, picking up a drive-through penalty. He goes down the inside of Liam Blanchard at turn 11 though, and gets the place back. So if this drive-through is not served within the remaining laps, it will result in a 30-second penalty for Vladimir Beluga. Still wants to get some racing in. Going wide there. And hopefully not picking up another track limit to his name. With Giancarlo Bottini going across the start-finish line to start his last racing lap. Nice clean move to get the race lead. And hasn't had much action since. Don Fox closing in here and there, but really not getting close enough to get on the back of Bottini and challenge for position. And gaining a few places as well in the mix was Don Fox, moving up to 2nd place. And here just looking to close out their last 3.5 mile lap around COTA. So Beluga happy to take that 30 seconds across the checkered flag. So Liam Blanchard will easily get that position once the penalty is applied. Just looking to keep it on the racing surface here. But of course, getting some racing in is always fun. And speaking of racing, we are not done in this battle for 9th and 10th. The contact between Hezzy Thomas and Chris Douglas. Douglas maintains the position ahead of Hezzy Thomas, who looks to get the over-under done. And there is more contact, but Hezzy Thomas goes through. Don Baptist and Dr. Porkchop looking to get involved in the mix as well here in the final lap of the race. Certainly everything picking up here for a fight. Or for a fight for a spot in the top 10. As this quad of cars goes into turn 12, our leader, Giancarlo Bottini, rounds the final quarter, and he will take the checkered flag in first place. Well done to the Firebrand number 57, Janetta, and the Firebrand 23, Janetta of Don Fox makes it a 1-2. Duarte Manhita with a great race starting from 7th, moves up to 3rd. Teemu Pesinen takes the checkered flag in 4th place. Josh Ransom rounds out the top 5, and John Kilcoyne with a good drive from the back of the grid up to 6th place. Oh, and Beluga gets sent into the wall here. And he goes into the pit lane. Blanchard up to 7th. Hezzy Thomas ahead of Chris Douglas, ahead of John Baptist, but I don't think this battle's done yet. We might have a drag race up to the checkered flag. Dr. Porkchop tries to go for the late move, and it's gonna be Douglas ahead of Baptist, ahead of Dr. Porkchop. Yeah, I guess he just tried to serve that drive-through on the last lap, but you can't do that since you don't really drive through the entire pit lane there. So after that late battle, Dr. Porkchop takes 12th, with Baptist in 11th, Douglas in 10th, Hezzy Thomas 9th, but those positions might change with that 30-second penalty getting applied to Vladimir Beluga. All 4 of those cars might move up a place. And Chris Saunderson getting some damage earlier on, takes a visit down the pit lane, but good perseverance for him to see the checkered flag at the end of the race. Austin Charlier as well with a visit down the pit lane, getting the damage fixed to the BMW, but once again, good on him to see the checkered flag here at the end of round number 7. So it's Bottini on top, Don Fox in 2nd, Manhita with his 2nd, 3rd place finish of the night, then Pesinen in 4th, Josh Ransom in 5th, John Kilcoyne 6th, Liam Blanchard 7th, Vladimir Beluga will drop down to 12th, promoting Hezzy Thomas up to 8th, Douglas to 9th, Baptist to 10th, Dr. Porkchop to 11th, then Saunderson 13th, Charlie across the line here in 14th, and unfortunately losing Reese Simmons and Rally Dutchy during that race. Podium sitters, please join us in the green room for a quick chat of how your guys' race went on. So that's going to be Bottini, Don Fox, Manhita, and Pesinen. We'll get that raid set up, my friend. Absolutely. After these interviews, of course. As always, stick around for the raid. Alrighty. We've got our friends in the stream room. Here we go. Welcome in, John Carlo. Welcome in, Teemu. And welcome in, Mr. Don Fox. Congrats on the podiums. How's it going, fellas?
Hello.
Hello. Hello? You guys hear me? Oh, you guys probably can't hear me. Hello? Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, my goodness. Let's try this. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear
Hello?
me? Hello? Is my mic not working? What's going on? You guys can hear me, right?
No, we can't hear.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's going on there.
Hey, is this thing on?
It's bugging out.
Here we go. Hello, hello, hello.
There we go.
There we go. Add it to the wrong setting. Perfect.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, just the Discord mic setting as usual, not set to the right thing. But anyway, it's back. Welcome in. Congrats on the podiums. Let's start with race number 1. Teemu, you finished there on top, got pole position, led every lap. Some battling with John Carlo there, of course, though, providing a bit of a challenge.
I didn't get fastest lap. He stole it from me.
Well, that's just how it goes sometimes.
I'm surprised I did so well because so I didn't have the weekend to practice. I had things to do. So I've had the least amount of practice for this one, and I hated driving this track for like the first 4 days of practice that I did.
I still hate it.
Like only today I started like, I still don't like it, but I do get it. So it took me by surprise that like
Yeah, it
on the
grows on you.
practice server, like me and Giancarlo had the only 17s.
And yeah, good. Great battling between you two. It looked like on my timing boards, you guys kind of switched positions there for just a little bit. And then, yeah, just good battling. And then it continued on into race number 2 also with some good moves. And
Yeah.
Giancarlo, you ended up on top in that one.
Woo! Yeah, it was quite a few laps of practice, and definitely pushing each other for improving our pace. The team efforts in practicing definitely paid off overall.
Yeah, you guys got the whole Firebrand squad, and it ended up being a 1-2 there in race number 2. Don, you made up a few places there. I think you started from 4th, and I think in the first race you qualified in like 9th or something like that. So you were able to find the pace in the race number 2 there.
It's all in a day's work, but I have to say, going into this race, I've never been a fan of this track. I'm just not my kind of, I don't really like these Tokadromes or whatever they call them now. They're not my favorite, but at the end of the day, you take what you're given. I decided last night, I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do some laps. We worked on the setup a little bit, got it all dialed in, well enough. Going into this race, though, I was still in like the mid-19s on a good lap, and I was like, I'll be happy to finish, top 6, top 7. I'll be pretty happy with that. But it ended up being the case that I had a little more in the tank. In the second race, I was able to get like a 17. I was able to get, so pretty much just use the first race as a bit of a test run. Get everything dialed in, start to do some experiments. Try different lines, try different things, and then the second race, I kind of started to put it all together, and by the end, I ended up on the podium. So it's one of those things where I definitely didn't expect to be here, but I can't complain with a leaving with a podium, especially for these guys. We do a lot of work to get here, and they I'm glad to help them out.
And yeah, I'm certainly putting in quite the number of practice laps there. It looks like from the final standings, Pessin and you did 100 practice laps, and Bottini leads the way with 162. So practice certainly paying off for you guys there, and then being able to get the wins tonight. And yeah, great to see the determination of continuing the practice, learning the tracks, and going through all that hard stuff. Do you guys work a lot on getting the setup dialed in, or do you guys more try to learn the track? What's your kind of go about learning the way?
I think you definitely have to learn the layout first. You learn the layout, start to get familiar with the way the car gels with the track, and then from there you can dial it in. I think the mistake a lot of people make, in my experience, like I said last week, I came from Gran Turismo where a lot of the time the setup is locked, so you literally just have to drive with whatever you're given. So coming in back to ACC after 3 years, making these setups. But I'm very blessed. If you're watching, Nick, I love you, bro. Is a really close friend of mine. He actually is a setup engineer in real life. So he kind of sometimes he'll help me build some of these setups, which definitely a big advantage. But I try to use him sparingly, because
a little bit of professional help goes a long way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Mostly just setting up the stuff for my driving style. By my own admission, I have a very strange driving style. So it works, but only if I can get things in the correct setup window.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah. I usually have like a default setup that I like, my one that I run that I changed around a little bit per track, but like the differences are not that big usually, because I have a very oversteery driving style. If that has been apparent on the stream, I don't remember which corner like the corner number it is, but the one tight uphill right-hander at the start of sector 2, like twice I like completely slid it while like going fast. Like
yeah, it's an
I
easy spot
just
to do it.
actually-
Just the weight of the car going into a completely different spot as you crest that
but
hill.
it was like an optimal slide where I didn't really lose any speed, which was funny. Like I did that twice in the first race, I think, or at least once. So
Yeah, sometimes a little bit of sliding is kind of the way to go. You get that kind of optimal slip angle, and the car just shoots out of the corner. And yeah, thanks guys for joining us for a chat here. Congrats on picking up the podiums, getting the 3
shout out-
Genettas.
We try to do every week.
I want to give a shout out to John Kilcoyne for having a good comeback race on race 2. I think he got
that was a
what,
good race.
P6 or P5.
Yeah,
P6,
I think
yeah.
it's P6. I think.
All having a quali ban and getting that is like this. It was a very chaotic race from what I saw, and he survived it all. Being the championship leader was very important, and I'm sorry he could not be on the podium today. I wish he could have.
Oh, it's what happens when we got some fast drivers coming in and putting in all the practice to get ahead of them. So yeah, it's good to see the close racing, and yeah, I'm sure he'll get some practice in for the next.
Man, he does that guy's fast. I mean, I was definitely worried that he was going to catch me, especially in race 2. So yeah, I don't know if you're watching, but yeah, I mean he's definitely fast. I think we're going to see a lot of things from him in the future.
Two third place finishes. Yeah. Yeah, starting from 7th, I think. Starting from 7th, yeah, moving up to 3rd. Passed all the quick names up ahead of him too, like you guys. So, so certainly like a challenge for him. Yes.
He's a good driver.
Yeah, certainly is. Going into the final round, we'll see how things play out. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Move you on back here to the green room.
Of course.
Sorry to cut you off there. Much appreciate you guys joining us. Sorry for cutting you off. Firebrand team in full force, and the fans in the chat out in full force. Join us tomorrow for the LMU GT3 season. And then on Wednesday, we go to round number 7 of the Wednesday Multi-Class GT3 and GT4 Championship. This week going to be at the Red Bull Ring. Should be nice and dry, unlike most of the season where I think 5 out of the 6 races have been wet so far. Thursday, iRacing, same format, GT3s and GT4s getting underway there. And then on Fridays, it is the LMU GT3 and Hypercar 75-minute races held on Fridays. Saturday, everybody gets a nice little break. And on Sundays, we go to the MX5 Cup. New championship here at Trackalicious, but it is tons of fun. Streams for that, and the Thursday championship will go on. And speaking of MX5s, we're going to give a raid to MX5 all day, doing the format that you have seen yesterday, or perhaps a sneak peek into what you might see on Sunday. Thank you, as always, to everybody doing the hard work in the background, the managers, the stewards, the admins, making everything run nice and smooth. And thank you to the drivers for joining. Thank you to everybody chatting along. Hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. I have been Kuja Terekov, and we will see you all next time.